Good morning. This is Lisa Lund from Educational Technology and Library Services. I wanted to talk through a little bit about live streaming and the blended model classroom. Our connections and touch points with our students in a remote and in person setting is very important during this time of remote learning. Make sure to make our remote students feel a part of our in person community. As we build our live streaming classroom, let's take into account how to make connections with students on a daily basis. Remember to look directly at our students online when we're doing whole group instruction. Remember to ask questions and allow them to discuss with the class. Make sure that our groups include in person and remote learners. Create space for these students to have one on one or small group interaction with you as the teacher. Create norms and expectations that allow for remote students and in person students to create the classroom environment that honors all students. I've linked to a document that you can look at on how to create norms in your classroom. You can create your live streaming classroom in person or hybrid model with activities, lessons, groups, etc. that students rotate through on a daily basis, similar to stations that we have in our classroom that students rotate through during the day during small group instruction. We know that students cannot actually move during this time, but we can have small group teacher led stations, online stations for independent work or flipped lessons, offline stations where they're writing, doing math problems, using manipulatives, drawing, or reading. Just make sure to think through this process. I've used a lot of work from Caitlin, and you'll see it throughout this presentation. You can explore some resources from the Christensen Institute that explain blended learning station rotation model in the document below. Take a few moments to click through this to understand the model and think about how this applies to your live streaming classroom. We have to engage our students with the information. We can allow our students to have voice and choice as learning conditions and the CRE mindset's important. Here's a choice template that you can use in Seesaw and Schoology. Students can then choose that they want to have text, listen, maybe create a video, or use an infographics. Explore this document about how you might use this in your classroom. Caitlin Tucker's created great resources, and you'll see them throughout my presentation. This is a complex learning process. We have to make sure that our students can take the information, turn it into knowledge, and then make sure that they understand the task involved. I need to make sure that I use graphic organizers or other ways to support my students' comprehension. By accessing their prior knowledge, create an analogy or comparison, make connections to other classes where they're studying, or asking questions or surface wonderings. There's a graphic below that you can click on, and you can insert audio files in the upper left-hand corner to help with verbal instructions. Please explore this graphic organizer. Station rotation for live streaming. You can transition students from activity to activity with a schedule that you post in Schoology or Seesaw. Make sure that you have optional activities for those students who go quickly, maybe a link to Sora to check out an ebook to read. Maybe send them to their library, their physical education, technology, music, or art class. Create teacher-led stations for in-person and remote learners, but remember to mix the group so in-person and remote students can collaborate. On the next slide, you'll see the 5 strategies to structure groups. Remember to record your instructions for stations using Screencastify. Create these stations for learning objectives and links to any resources that are easily available for in-person as well as remote students. There's also a slide deck for creating station rotation that you'll see in just a moment. Here's small group instruction and ways that I might structure my small group instruction, again created by Caitlin Tucker. Take a look at this and think about how you might use this in your station rotation. I've also linked to Stephanie DeMichelle's fantastic template on visual station rotation, so I could actually create this in Seesaw or Schoology, and students can then click to join your virtual meeting and then know that they're going by clicking to the links that you put in to different ideas that you have for station rotation. She has some great information in this slide deck. Please explore and think about how you might use that in your classroom, or how some of you are already doing this in your classroom. Thank you for exploring the resources we provided in the slide deck. If you need additional support and have questions, please reach out to your regional digital coach.